Junior speed to stretch. And the 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. One on the line, down the left field line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior to third base. They're going to wave him in. The throw to the plate will be late. The Mariners are going to play for the American League Championship. I don't believe it.
Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast.
We have the one and only Mr. Tom Hutler. Do you have any of your favorite stories from the Kingdom?
There was a time we had an earthquake, and so they were going to evacuate the building. So I was like getting up to go leave. They go, "No, you can't go. You got to read these safety things." It's like,
do we need to tell them that there's smoking's only on the exterior ramp?
Yeah. And Dave came shooting past. He signed off. I'm going, wait, I'm the only one here.
Listen and subscribe to Rye Bread and Mustard, a Mariners podcast, wherever you get your podcast.
Get ready to play hardball in the Kingdom.
Take me to the ball game. I want to see the M's. The Mariners are playing hardball. Did it again and again and again. Did it again.
Princess Tours, the vacation company, brings you the best show in baseball when the San Diego Chicken plays hardball with the Seattle Mariners and the Baltimore Orioles tonight in the Kingdom.
I can't hear. I can only hear Chris.
I couldn't hear anything for a while either. Now I hear you, Vlad.
All right. That's a good start. Man, I was nailing it. I was nailing the shit out of that intro. Basically, I was saying, since the last time we talked on here, Cal Raleigh is taking over MLB. The Mariners are hot. Vlad's a little concerned, a little defensive because, you know, he's a New York guy, a Judge guy. So we've had some spirited conversations. We're going to air it out right here on YouTube. If you're checking this out on the podcast side, maybe all that's not on there. Maybe all the errors aren't on there. But we do this the night before you get it on the podcast side right here on the YouTube channel. So if you're checking us out on the pod, we know there's more of you. We know there's more of you over there. Come on over and check us out on YouTube. All right, Hanno, how are you feeling right now? What's your vibe right now with the Mariners compared to the last time we talked about 5, 6, 7 days ago?
They're in one of their little streaks now. They're trending up. Let's see if they can keep it going as long as they did when they were on that hot streak in the beginning of the year. So they're pushing up and in a good spot right now.
Yeah, at the time of us recording this, we're in the middle of the Minnesota series. But if you're catching this during or after, don't worry. This is more of a talking point episode versus series wraps. Vlad, what's been going on in the AL East, and what have you been hearing out there when Judge's name gets mixed up with Cal Raleigh's name?
I mean, we're definitely hearing about what a tear Cal Raleigh's been on. I mean, he's had like a good year, but now he's like ratcheted up to being scolding hot, and people are taking notice. I mean, he's keeping like a good 4 or 5 homer lead, it seems now, in homers. So it's definitely been mentioned around, and people can't help but throw his name right up there with Judge. As far as the AL East, Tampa just seems to keep winning. They're only 2 games behind us, and the Yankees are like super mid right now. So
You know what's interesting about Tampa Bay? We always think about them always selling off everybody, and I mean you're right. They're always in there. We've traded with them how many times, Hanno? And then you go look at the standings, and they end up having the same record or a game better or a game below us every year.
Yeah, we definitely made some trades with them for sure. Go ahead, Bud.
Yeah, so they seem to just value players differently, and like they seem to get trade people at the right time, or when their value's up, and have the confidence that they could replace them. So it's not like they don't hold on to guys too long, like half the guys on our teams who we watch go right into the shitter. They don't seem to have those problems.
Well, Mariners were having a lot of problems for about a month there. We were 11-19, I think, in 30 games, something like that, right? It was a terrible number, Hanno. And we started to kind of see like a change of that with the Mariners' last homestand, and they've hit the ground running here on the road. As of right now, they have the series at least in a tie in Minnesota, and they went to a hot Chicago team and put them out under really tough circumstances with the weather up there in Chicago last weekend. What are some of the things, Hanno, that you're excited that you're seeing that or I'd say you're interested in and you want to see more of here with the Mariners, especially on the offensive side?
They've been hitting the ball real well here lately. A lot of home runs, not just Cal Raleigh. That's pretty much carried them. Getting their first road series victory, and it seems like forever in Chicago. So that's a good start. And then starting off here in Minnesota. I'm hearing music.
With junior speed to stretch. And the 0-1 pitch on the way to Edgar Martinez. One on the line, down the left line for a base hit. Here comes Joy. Here is Junior to the third base. They're going to wait it in. The throw to the plate will be late.
I think me and Chris hear the same audio. We hear the intro loud.
Fry Bread and Mustard, a Meredith podcast.
We have the one and only. Is that better?
Yeah.
Sorry, there's a YouTube feed going. My bad. Look, it's we're
Who's
running
in charge of this operation? Jesus Christ!
Give the name to High Bread and Mustard.
High bread and
Or the rye bread and mustard with pinstripes, either one.
Okay, so what the fuck were we talking about?
I don't know. I'm deaf now, so we're talking about the Mariners and how happy we are that they're playing good and blah blah blah.
So bring us down a notch then, Hannah. What are you concerned about still right now this week?
Oh, I'm not concerned about anything. It's good to see them playing better again. They're starting to, they're playing Minnesota, who's on a big losing streak. It's good to hit these teams when they're on their downward turn. The Mariners were on their downward turn for quite a while, and they're finally coming out of it, like I mentioned early. So seeing some good things. It's nice having Luke Raley back. The lineup looks longer. Canzone's hitting the ball. Ever since last episode when I called those guys a hogwash of shit, that series, each one of them hit 2 home runs in a game. So I'm going to take credit for that. And Master Boney had a 3-hit game. Just incredible what those 3 did in Chicago over the weekend.
Yeah, the hodgepodge of shit has turned into a hodgepodge of a hitting juggernaut right now, led by what was the conversation last week? Well, Luke Raley's coming back. That's great. Let's hope he's the Luke Raley of last year. And he was pretty unlucky at the beginning of the season. He was hitting the ball hard, but we were like, well, what's he going to be like coming back, rehabbing? from a oblique injury that can just nag you, and maybe you can play through it. But we've seen lots of players play through it, but the results aren't there, so we weren't super excited about that. We were still very cautious about Canzone, and we were pretty much predicting probably the Mariners were going to kick the tires on Rowdy Tellez, and Solano had already started turning into Donnie Barrels right now. So we really thought they were going to option Canzone down. We were wrong, and it seemed to be the right move.
Yeah, absolutely. Those guys, like we mentioned, are just absolutely on fire. Even Mitch Garver with 2 home runs. I don't know if I mentioned him earlier in the game, but yeah, Canzone's continued his hot streak. They're changing up the lineups, kind of rotating guys in and out. It's nice to see each Canzone and Raleigh in the outfield, with giving a day off to Rosarina. Not actually, but in the field. He DH. So Dan's pulling the right strings right now, and guys are coming through. A lot of long balls, a lot of power coming out of this Mariners team, and we've known when we see them hit the long ball, they have a greater success of winning the game. And man, they've been popping the ball of the yard. It's nice to see Julio finally get one after a month of going quiet. That ball absolutely exploded off his bat. Hopefully that's a sign of good things to come. So yeah, offensively, it's positive right now.
Yeah. I mean, let me ask you this, Vlad, because you play fantasy baseball. Do people have Donovan Solano? Did people pick him up in these leagues? Is he still available? Does he not have enough power? I mean, because let's just look at his splits, and this is up to date going into the middle of the series, but we go ahead.
Did you give him the name Donnie Barrels? That's the funniest thing I've ever heard.
No, they did I think it's from something that happened. I think it's 710. Have you been seeing that nickname going around, Donnie Barrels?
No.
Yeah, they call him Donnie Barrels. Shannon Dreher calls him Donnie Barrels. I've been listening to a lot. I've been recently every time they're in Chicago. Let me tell you something that I do. A little inside baseball. When the Mariners play in Chicago, I always listen to Rick Riz on the radio instead, just because he's from Chicago. So I like to hear his whole Chicago backstories and stuff like that. And yeah, Gary Hill, all of them, they're all calling him Donnie Barrels.
Nice.
Donnie with
hopefully they're calling him that in 30 days.
Yeah, but let's show these splits to Vlad. I mean, first of all, is he picked up in your league?
No, I just picked him up.
Okay. I mean, this might be
the kiss of death.
Yeah, this is the gaff. Yeah, we should maybe you shouldn't.
Too late.
Look at the guy's splits though. Look, in the last 7 games, 538. In the last 15 games, 455. In the last 30 games, 351. This guy was hitting what, -5? About 6 weeks ago, and now he's back up to 266 at the time of us talking right here. He's a career 280 hitter, so he's where he's supposed to be. He's had to be the second hottest hitter in baseball in the last 5 weeks period. So you could almost say the Mariners, with Donnie Barrels and the Big Dumper, have the nastiest duo in baseball in the last month. It's an argument.
It's good that he's coming through. He was absolutely dead the whole rest of the season. So he owes us.
I mean, he was the Mariners Twitter, Mariners social media whipping boy. He was the Colton Wong. He was getting the Colton Wong treatment. He was getting the Jesse Winker treatment. It was, get the hell out of here. What are we waiting for? Let's get rid of this guy. And they stuck with it. And I heard him talk, about his hitting approach throughout this whole thing. And he's just an old stubborn vet who said, I'm not changing a damn thing.
Yeah, I get it. It's worked for him in the past, and he just was having awful success. I don't really remember him being unlucky. But I didn't watch him that closely. Usually when he came up to bat, I left the room to do what I needed to do, because that's just the way it goes. But yeah, he just kept going what he was and doing what he said he's always done. And he's what, a career 280 hitter. I mean, that's just unreal, at this time. Guys don't have that type of average anymore. So good on him for keeping it true to himself.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting though. It's one of those things again where we always get worried about, the players that we were wanting to be replaced or upgraded, they get hot, then the team kind of goes, "Oh, we don't need to make any big trades. We got the team we want right now." And then they flatline. So that is something that is concerning still about this. Like, I still think the Mariners should be looking for right-handed or left-handed option at first base. Same thing over at third base. Same thing if you can add any sort of hitter to a lineup that you already have Cal Raleigh, and you see how dangerous this lineup can be with Cal Raleigh going the way he is, as long as everybody else is hitting, because they're going to sooner or later not pitch to him. So, Donnie Barrels and the rest of the gang. Yeah. And look at what Canzone and Raleigh have brought in the last week from the left-handed right field first base side.
Yeah, 4 home runs in 4 or 5 games combined, bunch of RBIs. Yeah, they press the right buttons there, that's for sure.
Here's how good things are. Garver hit 2 home runs in a game last week. Didn't Solano, or was it just
Garver, Solano, and Canzone, and then Masterboni at a 3-hit game, almost 4-hit game. Unbelievable.
Yeah, this just reminded me of the Yankees with the torpedo bat weekend, the opening of the torpedo bat. That's what it was like in Chicago.
Make all problems go away, don't they?
Yeah, they sure do. And I got to say something about Chicago. If you could hit a home run in any stadium, what do you think is like the most majestic home run like that you'd like to see? Like, if you could hit one anywhere, where would you want to hit one in the current parks?
I don't know. I mean, there's a thrill of hitting a wall scraper in a big game over the short porch in Yankee Stadium. Because it's like the thrill is like, well, is that an out, or is the porch gonna eat it? Also hitting one. I love seeing when somebody hits one clean over the monster, like onto the street. It's just like everybody just has to sit and watch the second it leaves the bat. Like, oh, fuck. Like they just have to watch that long. We'll just watch it leave the atmosphere over there. But I don't know. I guess it would probably be one of those 2 ballparks for me.
Sushi Dude 12 agrees with you. Says Fenway Monster for history, or the San Francisco Bay. Hanno?
That's cool too.
Yeah, I agree with all those. I'd throw in Chavez Ravine. I'd throw in the Kingdome. All those good old famous ballparks.
You fucking dome rat. I knew you'd
throw resurrect the dome for this famous.
He wanted to beat me to it. He knew I was going to bring it. I was going to start with, well, since I couldn't hit one over the Walla Walla, right? The right field wall that Griffey used to do. I would say Wrigley Field. I love seeing the ball fly in Wrigley. Not so much at night, but those day games, it's pretty awesome. Night games, they're fine there too, but just I love how you can just hit it out of the stadium pretty easily. Not pretty easily, but I mean, if you get a nice 430-foot shot, it's gone. It's going, into the streets. You got the rooftop stadium seats, and I like that tower in dead center. So I just think every one of the home runs just looked awesome this weekend. I was like, man, that's got to be a fun place to hit. Well, let's get to it right now here, Vlad. One thing that we got to get into, and this is kind of an ongoing conversation that we started last episode, is the race for shortstops for the All-Star game. JP Crawford, a lot of people are rumbling, hey, he should have some consideration on the surface or in the bubble. You're like, yes. We kind of looked at the rest of the shortstops in the AL, and Hanno brought it up last week. As good of a season as he's having, he's probably the third best shortstop in the AL West alone. There's a lot of good shortstops. What do you make JP Crawford's season so far, considering what you thought about him?
Well, I mean, it's just good to see. I mean, he completely turned it around. I mean, I was thinking that it was a big if, and I think it's well documented that I didn't think he could do it. But I mean, to be hitting up 290 and being an impact bat and being one of the many people we thought needed to have a bounce back hitting year for the Mariners, I mean, he's definitely playing great.
Well,
And
while I pull up some stat, go ahead, finish your thoughts.
and just I feel like a lot of the bigger shortstops or people that you would deem higher than him aren't outperforming him, or they're not performing as high as they should be. I mean, that Oakland guy's the leader from the fans voting.
He's having a hell of a season too.
He's hitting 360.
Yeah,
and he's got what, about 20 jacks? About I don't know how many jacks he's got. Let's see.
But you've got to figure that even the more popular people are still going to get more votes than Crawford. But yeah, I mean, he could be a throw-in once they're like finalizing the roster.
I think he's got to continue to have a hot week, like we were talking about, Hanno, or hot week. He's got to have like 2 or 3 hot weeks, like he's been doing, and then maybe somebody possibly either going extremely cold, or you're gonna maybe run into somebody that needs the day off, that needs the rest of the All-Star game. Just because right off the bat, you go Bo Bichette. You got the guy in Oakland. What's his name? Is it Jacob Wilson? Is that his name? Jacob Wilson. You also have Pena down in the Astros. So right there's 4. And then you Bobby Witt Jr.
There's no chance he's making it, in my opinion.
Yeah. We've went through. It's just a tough position to be playing in the AL to, crack the All-Star team.
Right.
And it sucks because you would look at all these guys that we're talking about and you'd go, well, how important are they to what's going on in their season for their team? Then I think Cal Raleigh JP Crawford. Then I think you could, give him a little bit more juice with that.
I mean, but it comes down to votes, numbers, who's cool, and you just kind of, when you're a player like him, you got to really earn it. He's not getting any extra votes. I bet most fans don't even know who he is.
Yeah, he was like 3rd from the bottom in votes.
Yeah,
he's really low down there.
Oh yeah, that as far as the vote, that's not going to happen. I was, I guess, optimistically thinking maybe Aaron Boone, might pick him up or something like that. He's got Joe Torre on the bench this year with him, I believe, in the All-Star game. Maybe it's a coach thing. Maybe I don't know exactly how they do the votes after the popular vote. What do they do? Is it players, or does a manager just pick the team? Because there used to be like some sort of heat. I remember with like who Dusty Baker was picking or not picking. So I don't know if they still do it like that.
Well, a lot of times they pick their guys.
So it is the managers of the.
I don't know how it works anymore, but it would always be like, oh, there's a couple extra things, and Torrey picked Bernie or shit like that.
Well, before we stop with talking about JP, we do have to. We told you we do this every time. JP Crawford, we've been pretty critical just because of all the shortstops and up the middle guys that have been available the last few years. What do you think about JP Crawford?
I think he can't hit for shit. Remember, I was killing Ty France 2 years on the podcast. And Myron kept sticking up for him. I'm like, this guy is a bust.
Thank you.
The minute you guys got rid of him, I turned my sights straight to J.P. Crawford, and I'm like, dude, he's next. And he's a defensive replacement, short bench guy at best. This guy can't hit, and he's never going to hit.
He had one good year for us a couple years ago, had some pop. I mean, just really looked like he figured it out, and then he reverted back last year.
If you're looking for just a glove, you could find those guys and pay him nothing. You know, he was hitting like what, 209?
I don't even want to look up his stats. It's
I mean, dude, you could find. I could just give me 48 hours and a minivan in Venezuela. I'll find you a shortstop. Now he's hitting like at 290. That's got to be in like the top 20% of the league.
Yeah, so we need you to bash some other players, Vlad, because
Julio,
you please bash him, because as soon as you bash him, you know what he does.
You know what's funny? On the MLB, when you're watching the games, they have some of their own built-in commercials for players and teams. Mm-hmm. And when they talk about the Mariners, there's just like a thing where it's like some Mariner homer's talking. He's like, Julio Rodriguez is a superstar. It's just like they got to change it. They got to get rid of it.
They have started to now transition Cal Raleigh into some of like the imaging and he's
looking at the home run race.
Yeah, I mean they still had, I believe when Judge came to Seattle, they still had Julio and Judge. I think that's who they had as the marquee matchup, for when they're like, this game is on this week. Catch this game. And now Cal Raleigh, I mean, he's going around, he's doing all, he's at Barstool Sports. He's saying yes to all kinds of things. It seems like he's open to doing the home run derby. I pitched this last week. I think that what MLB should do, if they can do anything and throw whatever money they got to throw at him, get him to do it, it should be a triple threat match. Aaron Judge, Shohei Ohtani, Cal Raleigh.
Never going to happen. Judge is retired. He's hitting 370. He ain't messing up his swing for that. Raleigh will do it, but you better pray to God it's not the kiss of death.
I mean, he's got an uppercut home run swing from both sides of the plate, Hanno. How much do you think it would mess with Cal Raleigh?
I mean, look at how
0.
he's hitting right now. No?
I don't think it. One guy I don't think it'll bother. It's Cal Raleigh.
Yeah, you've never heard somebody. You've never heard any of the praising of Cal Raleigh, which gets a lot at the plate. Nobody says he has this nice, short, compact swing to the ball. You never hear that.
It's just the guys who are like perfectionist swingers are the ones where like they could do it, but some people it ruins, man. Remember Bobby Abreu? He was hitting like 40-something home runs, and he was hitting like 9 a year after that.
I do remember him. I didn't know that the home run derby affected him that much.
He won it.
But you're kind of acting like it's like the Madden cover. Like if you do the Madden cover, you're cursed.
It really just depends on your personal mechanics. So like guys even like A-Rod and guys who are like they're trying to hit the ball perfectly straight away or wherever it's pitched, the guys who have that uppercut swing or those home run swings or like the Ortizes and all them, like doesn't affect them. I think Ohtani it won't affect. I mean, I don't know if you've watched him lately, but it's incredible how hard he's trying to hit a home run every single swing. He's like almost leaves his feet in his
So
swing.
why would that ruin his swing then? That's what I don't get.
It wouldn't ruin his swing because he's just trying to smack the ball in that one position where whatever piece he gets of it, maybe it's a base hit, but he's trying to launch it upwards and out.
Okay, here's a hypothetical idea then. If you don't want to mess with somebody's swing, what if you did, or somebody's like, I don't want to get into the habit of doing this 100 times in a day. Maybe you could be like a different style of home run derby where, I don't know, we go, okay, we're doing a batting practice style. Let's do APA home runs one round. Let's pull it one round. Let's just do the 10 outs. I know that they like the running clock, like the shot clock version of it. But I definitely could see you get injured. I think, what was it, 2 years ago? It was 3 years ago. It was Julio's first year.
That could be his problem.
His back never really recovered. It seemed like from that home run derby though.
Look what we're saying. I mean, there's certain guys too where it's like if they don't have that true home run swing. Like Julio's probably the guy who's really like hitting to where it's pitched to all fields, and like sure he could do. Anybody could just try to be a home run hitter in warm ups or whatever, but there is some science behind it that says some guys get so fatigued doing it that they finish poorly, have a bad second half. There's been more than more than a handful of guys who have come away from it being like, I can't do that shit again.
So my grandma Norma just chimed in here, 94-and-a-half-year-old grandma Norma. She was asking me this, and I don't know if you guys know the answer to this, but she wants to know if Cal Raleigh has a girlfriend.
I'm sure he does.
Probably in every city. I don't know.
You got that big dumper. You got to put it to work.
If anybody knows if he has a girlfriend, my grandmother is asking.
She looking for a date?
I don't know. It was just kind of open-ended here. I don't know how I feel about that. Anyways, yeah, shout out to Norma. Oh yeah, Hanson and Norma wanted to say hello to you.
Love Grandma Norma. I want her back on is she coming on next week?
I think she still wants to come on and talk about Jared Kelnick, even though he's still gone. So if you don't remember my grandma, she's the one that was literally has been throwing a year-long party that we traded Kelnick. So let's take a quick break and let's get to the meat and potatoes of what we wanted to talk about. And that is Aaron Judge, Cal Raleigh, the case for Cal, the case for Judge. We'll get into that right after this. What's your go-to if we just had a big walk-off victory? Everybody's coming out of the stadium charged up. What's your go-to?
So I reel them in with some Michael Jackson, and then for Michael Jackson, I get them dancing with each other with Dance With Somebody. And then, we just keep the party going for a little bit. And then I got to throw in that Don't Stop Believing, just so the fans know, win, lose, or draw, we still support the Mariners. You know what I mean? That always gets them riled up. And then I take it to some more dancing. And then I sometimes have to stop because they won't stop dancing. So I'm like, all right, this is the last song. They're like, no.
Hello.
Well, Grandma, Jared Kelnick, no longer a Mariner. He's an Atlanta Brave. What's your feelings on it?
My feelings are on this I really don't care. He wasn't one of my favorites. The one that kicked the water cooler?
That's who he is. He was very passionate.
Yeah, well, maybe he could go get a job with the Seahawks as a kicker if things don't work out with a lot of Braves.
So you didn't like his attitude?
No, I didn't care for him at all. But I was always under the impression that you kind of liked him when they brought him in up there. Does Hampton like him? Well, he wasn't my favorite, I'll tell you that. So I can't, I wish him luck, but I can't shed any tears over him going. And
all right, there we go. So, like we said, the meat and potatoes of this episode that we have here on the thumbnail, you can see it. Cal Raleigh, Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge. We kind of started talking about them just with our fantasy booking, the home run derby, but it's a legit race now. I would assume here in the American League, at least closing up the first half right now. It seemed like the first half of the season, first half, Q1, so to speak. Aaron Judge running away from everybody. Looks like he's going to be getting the Triple Crown here in the last, let's just call this Q2 of the first half of the season, or whatever. You get what I mean. Cal Raleigh's coming on strong. Once I started doing math in my head and thinking about charts, it all got screwed up. Let's just stick to what we know. Hanno, what do you think's going on now here with this AL race? Where do you think it sits?
Just where you said. I mean, Aaron Judge is having an amazing year offensively. If it wasn't for Cal Raleigh, like you mentioned, he would be the clear-cut runaway winner for the Triple Crown as well. On the other hand, Cal Raleigh is having a career-type season for catchers that has never been done before. It's still really early, not even halfway through the year, but it's fun to have a Mariner involved in these conversations. It's been many years, and yeah, just hoping to see what he can do. Do I think he can stay on this wicked tear? He sure has lately. I don't really think he can, but man, he has improved so much, in my opinion, from year to year, and especially from last year to the beginning of this year. The way he attacks pitchers, his eye. He's become such a better hitter besides a power hitter, and he's just not missing any mistakes. So I'm certainly looking forward to it.
Vlad?
Well, I think where it's at right now, it's still Judge just from his like across the board dominance. But I think if Raleigh hits like 60 home runs, has more home runs than Judge, and he starts breaking some catcher records for home runs, I think he could take it. But I mean, at the end of the day, it does come down to WAR, but just from watching it, it's like for somebody to keep up this pace, they have to be a freak. And like, so I've seen Judge do it. And this is Raleigh's like emerging year. So I mean, I think he's got a good finish in him for sure. I guess we'll just have to see what, if Judge just does what he normally does, he should still come home with the trophy. But if it's close by the end, and Raleigh's now doing Judge numbers for the whole season, I think, then the catcher talk comes into play. But for now, I think it's everybody's still saying like it's just great that he's having this good year and he's even in the talks. But yeah, right now it's a two-person thing. I think Jose Ramirez, who's always finishes in like the top 5, it seems, for MVPs. He was listed third.
I mean, you talk about Judge right now, and we're like, oh, he's kind of tailed off. Okay, his tailing off is 280 in the last week, 308 in the last month. Yeah, look at his slugging is still up. I mean, his average dipped down to 364. Maybe Donnie Barrels could catch him, but as far as what Aaron Judge is doing or his numbers that he has, that they're just going to kind of remain the same like that. And he's going to have his surges, but he's put enough of a body of work that you're like, this isn't out of the ordinary for him to do this. It's just more of his evolution that he's having. Cal Raleigh, this has been a big jump here from even as good as he was last year. Platinum glove, 34 home runs, 100 RBIs. What's he already at time of recording? 69, 68?
I feel like he's hot. And whereas
yeah, like I realistically, if you want to get realistic, I think Cal Raleigh's, I think he's going to land somewhere in the 50s with the home run. I think he's going to get
huge
or 66. I don't, just because of the position that he's played. But you mentioned earlier breaking catcher records. He has this year. He's already hit the most home runs in the first half by any catcher. He's hit the most home runs in the first half by any switch hitter. Took out Mickey Mantle, I think, and a few other players that were tied with him. I think
once you start doing things where the names that are attached to them are of that pedigree, you're doing things that nobody's ever seen before. So, I mean, if he has the all-time catcher, maybe he's guaranteed to have the all-time highest catcher home run total.
Yeah, you'd have to catch Mike Piazza with that. You mean talking at the end of his career?
No.
Yeah.
Season.
Oh, the season?
What's the single season catcher home run record?
Pull it up. Hanno?
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like something should be brought up to, Cal Raleigh is a catcher. He handles the pitching staff. He knows all about. He goes through the scouting reports with these pitchers every day and the hitters lineup for the other team. He's a switch hitter. He catches every day. He's not like Judge just stands out there in right field, in Williamsport there. So it's it's a lot easier for him.
I mean, but it's not like Judge is a DH, which if you have the numbers, you'll still win. The record's 48. Sushi Dude is on top of that. Raleigh's just, I mean, besides giving you guys, I mean, just enjoy it, man, because I don't care what anybody says. Like, winning championships and playoff runs are fun, but when you have a player that's at the top of the league putting up numbers that everybody has to look at, it's equally as fun to me. Like, the home run chase season. Some people be like, "Oh, but they lost in the playoffs." Like, that was one of my most favorite seasons I've ever had, and I've seen.
I got a question. So Vlad, I feel like if we lost Cal Raleigh off of our team for any reason, we'd be in serious trouble.
Well, that was my next point. I was like,
do you think
his worth?
Yeah, do you think if you lost Judge for a serious amount of time, you have other guys that could kind of not pick up, but I think your team would be far better off than the Mariners would be if they lost Cal Raleigh.
I've seen it. When Judge did the Frankenstein run into the wall in Los Angeles, he they were in first place and they were still playing well, and the team just completely even when he doesn't do anything, which is rare, it seems like they have nobody could pick, like there's no answer for him. Even with Bellinger, Gold, all these guys, like it's just somehow everything still is around him. So, yeah, my other point was though is Raleigh just the better he does could be scary for a Mariners fan because he could be pricing his ass out of town.
He just signed a big contract.
Oh, so he's safe? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
at least 5 years.
He dumped Scott Boras and signed a huge deal with the Mariners. That it looks really good for the Mariners right now.
Boras,
yeah, I mean,
you could have been on the Mets for a half a billy.
He would have never signed his contract yet if he was still with Boras.
And right now, if you're his agent, you're also kind of like, fuck, I told you to wait a little bit longer. Just a little bit longer into the season. No, but
Salvador Perez is the one with 48 home runs.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Not long ago.
Yeah, I mean, Cal Raleigh has a shot at doing that for sure. I think we'd kind of be disappointed. But also, I'd understand if he slowed down because he plays catcher. You look at any of the numbers of the Hall of Fame catchers or whatever, you don't really hold them to the same standards as other players, right? The old rule of thumb used to be 3,000 hits or hitting 300 over a really prolonged period, like a decade, or 500 home runs, right? That's kind of like the offensive numbers that you had to be in the ballpark of that to make the Hall of Fame, except for maybe second base, shortstop, and catcher, especially catcher. So I think what I'm trying to say is you have to factor in when we get into that stuff, but that all factors into WAR, like you're talking about, like WAR and F WAR and P WAR and whatever.
It's just their mathematical equation of how much better, like what you mean to a team, everything you do. I mean, it doesn't include speeches in the locker room, but in anything that happens on the field, playing the field, hitting, like even Ohtani as a DH, his WAR is still high, but it's because he puts up crazy numbers and he had 50-50 last year. So it's I know there was a lot of people saying that Lindor is a shortstop. Ohtani only hits, but the math even shows that Otani's bat is worth more to a team on a day by day basis than a good bat, the best bat at shortstop in the National League. I mean, but that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about Otani and Judge, who put up numbers like people did before, like when they were hitting against fucking refrigerator delivery guys and shit like that. Like,
Well, you know what's interesting too about this is all these guys play such different positions and things between these three, and I know Tawny doesn't factor into the AL anymore. So with the catching and the duties that a catcher has in the day-to-day process, and you consider like the Mariners have had a lot of pitching injuries this year, especially in the first half, and Cal Raleigh's had to navigate through a staff like that. Sure, if they turn it around and become the staff we know that they are, there's even more for Cal Raleigh. If he continues to play, platinum glove, I don't have all the stats in front of me, nor do I give a shit. I just know what kind of game Cal Raleigh plays behind the plate. I don't need to look. He plays as good as anybody else. He's doing it from both sides of the plate. I think they said he's first in left-handed home runs as a catcher, and he's fourth as right-handed with.
And that's the key for him this year, Myron, is how well he's hit the ball to the ballpark from the right-hand side. He's totally improved from that side of the plate as far as, it's always kind of his secondary side of hitting. And his power numbers have spiked from the right-hand side. It's not an advantage to bring a righty or lefty in against him. He's proven that so far this year, and that's what made him such a dominant hitter so far this year.
It's pretty impressive when you consider you can only really go a couple of weeks without, the whole league being put on notice how hot you are, right? And everybody scouts, within a few weeks to a month ahead of time.
Absolutely.
And just to see that he hasn't dipped, he's actually gotten hotter since his original tear. It just shows that they can't figure out how to fucking get this guy out.
Yeah, he's had 3 of these legitimate tears, and every tear is bigger than the last tear.
Right, and which means usually, when Judge goes on his tears, one team figures it out, and now for the week and a half, he's got to overcome that. That means that right now, they can't figure out what to throw to him, what side. They're just not making their pitches, and they're just leaving way too many for him to cream. Because when guys go on a tear like this, it's either take the bat out of his hands or stick to your plan, and it just seems like they're not doing either of those things.
Yeah, and if you look at all his home runs, you're exactly right, Vlad. He gets maybe out front when he's hitting left-handed on an off-speed pitch. He can put it out. Yesterday, he got a high fastball inside from the right-hand side. He jumped on it and tomahawked it out. You're right. They don't know where to pitch him yet, and it's evident in all of his home runs this year. It's a beautiful thing to see.
And I want to hand it to the Mariners lineup, too, for setting him up and hitting right now. I know there's been other times where Cal's just doing it, but of late, the rest of the team has been hitting, and they've had to pitch to Cal because you see when there was an open base, they would do it sometimes, whether it was in Chicago or Minnesota or back in Seattle. When the Mariners are hitting, they don't have a choice to do that.
I agree with you saying. I'm actually a little surprised that they haven't, taken the bat out of his hands a little bit more with Randy behind him.
Yeah, Randy's been hot.
Teams are a little stubborn these days, and even maybe it's the analytics is more stubborn on that kind of thing because, watching Judge be on a 5-year or, a 4-year, they don't really walk him, and when it does, it's a big issue. When I haven't really seen it. Maybe earlier this year there was they walked him 3 times, twice intentionally in the first and second and the third inning, but they just don't really do it because managers aren't managing with their guts anymore. they're managing with the analytics, and I just don't think that like putting a guy on if the base isn't already open, middle of the game, or type of situation only, they're not making that call. You really don't see it, or else it should be happening to Judge every game.
No, you're right.
Yeah, we haven't seen that where we have a guy that they're walking. I mean, this would be new in a long time. Hanno mentioned this is. It kind of reminds you of when Griffey was in those home run races, because that's really the only person that we really have had. You know, Nelson Cruz was always in there, but nothing like this. And where the whole league is like going, okay, it's these guys. You know, it's MLB Network's talking about this. It's funny listening to the LA radio talk about it, and the LA radio just being like so pro Cal Raleigh because they're hating on the Yankees, you know?
So, I like that.
It's interesting.
I mean, I think everybody always loves. I think a catcher who can hit is just always like, your favorite players. You know what I mean? Like Posada. When you have a catcher who's on par with some of the best offensive hitters in the league, I think that's just one of those built-in things. It's like you like it more because you know how hard the catcher works. Like their heads in the books. They have the relationship with the staff. They're on point. They're in every moment of the game more so than any other player on the field. And I think when they could also hit, we love them. It's just like a free ticket to fame.
Yeah, they're your blue collar baller. They're your guy, the catcher. It's the lunch pail and the hard hat, right? And just let's look at Stat Muse right now, just of the all-time catchers. As far as home runs, Mike Piazza, 399. Oh, that's rough. Is that as a catcher? I'll have to look that up. But 399, Carlton Fisk, 366, Bench, 356, Yogi Berra, 336, Lance Parrish, 324. I didn't know he had that much power. Bud Rodriguez, 311, Gary Carter, 307, Salvador Perez, 282. This has to be just behind the plate.
I don't know. I just got Piazza career home runs 427. So yeah, that must be.
So this is just as catcher, where I know Cal Raleigh is way down on this list right now because of, but I believe he's like at 109 or 110 as a catcher, somewhere in there. I think he's only got like a dozen DH, or I don't know. He's got much more behind the plate than the DH because he catches every damn day. But yeah, I mean, he's on pace to be up there with Piazza. Let's not forget his first season, he only hit 2 home runs. He was up and down. I think he only had 2 jacks. So it's been 27, 30, and 34. And now, 32 and not even halfway through the season yet.
Yeah.
Sushi Dude says Johnny Bench is a Cal Raleigh fan. I don't know anybody that isn't. One thing that you wanted me to show, maybe we'll just talk about it, because we're running out of time.
You don't know. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, but go check it out. John Gruden gets a package from the Mariners. It's just a hodgepodge of shit that they threw it there.
John, do you kind of know the backstory that all these teams and colleges and stuff send John Gruden a box for him to open up? Okay. But yeah, the Mariners sent him one. The best part was Lou Piniella was there with him. Boy, Lou looks good. Oh, so funny.
He's like, he has this, first of all, John Gruden's got this, he gets this box, and he brings over the box, and he's unboxing it. And then all of a sudden, he's like saying all these things about the Mariners, like, oh, they're a second place team in the AL West. It's almost like he's doing like a a cameo, like it's all these random like surface things about the Mariners. And then all of a sudden he's like, and then the camera just pans over whoever's filming on the phone, Lou Piniella. And it's just fucking Lou Piniella sitting there, and they're ripping open the box, and they're handing Lou stuff. And every time Lou gets a bat, he's like grabs the bat, and he's a little older, and he seems a little like he's trying to remember things a little bit. But as soon as he's got that bat or any of that baseball stuff, it's just boom, it just hits him, and he just starts going.
Sushi Juice says, if I'm annoying, you guys tell me to shut up. No, you're not annoying at all. Thanks for the comments.
Thanks for the stats.
Absolutely.
Sushi Dude 12 is the Ultra Chat guy tonight.
Thanks for being a part of the convo.
Yeah, and Cal has 3+ seasons with 30+ home, or 3 seasons with 30+ home runs.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many.
Sushi at the end of the day.
I mean, there's so many there, but Hanno did want me to get into these. I forgot. I have to read a couple. We were backlogged on some of the comments, and there was a particular YouTube one. I have to pull it up that we're trying to figure it out. Oh, here it is. Happy Friday the freaking 13th. This is last Friday, or 12:36 a.m. in my local area. Thank you for helping me survive the alley drug addicts. Sucks in downtown Seattle. Too many scenes of violence, and I'm fed up. Mariners fan here, 72 years young, a unique, celebrated Pacific Northwestern person, sitting in the Kingdom on that day. Game 1, Seattle Mariners versus the Angels. We lost. I bought that seat, and it was my first season ticket purchase ever in my life. And that was from Libra Dragon. I thought that one was the funniest out of all of them.
It was real good. Cool.
And why I wanted to tie that in is he's talking about the first day in the Kingdom. The guy who threw out the first pitch, you know who it is, Diego Segui, passed away today. Heard about it on the radio. Heard that Harold Reynolds had texted Rick Riz about it. Just wanted to make a little bit of a shout out about that.
Diego, because wow. I've heard his name a lot throughout the years watching Mariner games. Well, rest in peace, and I'm glad you brought that up. I didn't hear that, Myron.
Is it Diego Segui?
Yep.
Yeah. What did I call him? I thought I said no. Yeah, he pitched the very first pitch in the Kingdom. And here is another tidbit about him. He also pitched for the Seattle Pilots in 1969.
Wow.
So, let's see. We're running out of time here. We'll be back later this week. Sorry about some of the technical difficulties. That's on me. Again, if you like what you're seeing or hearing, don't be afraid to subscribe. It helps us out. Also, if you want that street cred for rocking the rye bread, hit up at simply.core. That's at simply.core. You can also DM her on Instagram. If you heard the phone ringing here, that was her earlier. Had to turn off my settings, so whatever. And also, in the clutch, they got a brand new Cal Raleigh shirt like every week. In the clutch.com. Yeah, Sushi Boy says, right. Subscribe right now. Sushi Dude 12, not to be mixed up with those other sushi dudes. In the clutch apparel, promo code Rye Bread Mustard, all one word. Save yourself some money. All right, I got to run to the airport. Vlad, you got to get back to a screenplay. Hannah, what's your story?
I got to get ready for work.
Got to get ready for work. All right. With that being said, Hannah, you know what time it is. Charge. Yeah, we saw you, Vlad.